Chapter 18. Some days later, the palace ballroom, 8 p.m. The night of the ball arrived. The sinister servant in black was efficiency itself as the palace and the gardens were transformed and decorated. There were Chinese lanterns hung in the trees, and there were candles and garlands of roses. There was a huge crowd of very overdressed and snobbish people in the ballroom by the time Prince Charming made his great entrance. Jake put his best foot forward, swallowed his pride, and almost fell headlong down the grand staircase on his silly, high-pinching shoes. Oh, for a pair of good 7-league boots, he thought, as he straightened up with a fixed smile on his handsome face. He soon recovered and danced with several of the grand young ladies. They all, of course, danced with great style and professionalism, but there was no interest and no spark between any of them and the prince. Jake was very bored by now with his tedious duties as Prince Charming. He had wanted to play the dashing prince, of course, but not like this, not foppishly dressed in silk hose and hiding behind a black velvet mask. He had danced dutifully with all the eligible ladies in the kingdom, and also with one or two who were perhaps not so eligible. There were two in particular, with a very pushy mother, who were constantly drawing attentions to themselves and making moony eyes at him. He had danced with each of them once. Surely that was more than enough, and beyond the call of duty. Then there was a sudden fanfare of trumpets, and the doors opened at the top of the ballroom steps. A girl appeared in shimmering grey silk. She tripped lightly down the stairs, and all eyes followed this new, ravishingly beautiful and mysterious arrival. Jake noticed on her dainty feet she wore little crystal glass slippers. That was the sign he was waiting for. He approached the lovely girl and bowed in his most elegant manner. He felt suddenly, somehow, very cheered up. They danced and danced together, hour after hour it seemed, whirling around and around to the music. The palace ballroom, 11:45 p.m. After many dances together, Jake offered to fetch her a glass of refreshing champagne, and she sweetly nodded her assent. He went out to the terrace and waited while his steward went to fetch 2 chilled flute glasses. He hoped the lovely girl would soon come out and join him. He looked at the moon and the stars and the deep blue of the sky and said to himself, "I am in love. I have to admit it. It's ridiculous, but there it is. What on earth is happening to me? It's just the sort of thing our mother is always warning us about." The terrace of the palace, 11:59 p.m. and 56 seconds precisely. The palace clock whirred and clicked as it geared up for midnight. Soon there would be the great firework display. Jack leaned on the balustrade and breathed in the jasmine-scented air. All his faculties seemed to be heightened. Touch, taste, smell, sight. Sadly, his hearing was not so affected, or he would have heard someone creeping up behind him on the terrace. The next thing he was aware of was an odd, sweet, sickly smell layered on top of the perfume of the jasmine. As he breathed it in, the clanging bells of the clock chime sounded somehow blurred and strangely wavery. He tried counting along with the chimes of the clock as he waited for the first rocket to be launched in its haze of golden sparks. Dong, 9, dong, 11, dong, 3, dong, 64. Something was very, very, very wrong. The last thing he could remember hearing before he woke up in a distant, dark, and very deep dungeon was the voice of the girl in the glass slippers, the new love of his life, crying out from somewhere far away, "Oh no!" as he fell down and slipped into a deep sleep on the palace terrace. Goodness me, that's a bit of a cliffhanger. What's going to happen in chapter 19? I'll find out.